Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, H.O. Love. Here back again with sports heavy topics. Good to be back for another edition, but got a bunch to talk about stemming from the weekend. UFC 276 happened on Saturday night. A very good night of fights. Yeah, NBA free agency, which started on Thursday night. Go over some of the big moves. Go over as much of the moves as I can, along with USC and UCLA join the Big Ten in college football. Kevin Durant and more. But thus, thank you for joining me again for another edition. If you're new to the podcast and you want to see more videos on the channel, you can find them on click the description in the corner and find more videos on the channel. Sports overview topics. Episode 105 was last week. Find that on the channel. But nonetheless, thank you all, and let's dive into it, shall we? NBA free agency started on Thursday night, and we had a bunch of who's being trial around for free agency. Not a lot of huge name moves, but definitely some interesting moves. We'll start off with the biggest one that stemmed. Former three-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year and finalist for Defensive Player of the Year this year before Marcus Smart ultimately won it. The 30-year-old French All-Star Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert traded from the Utah Jazz. Now, there were talks, there were circulations going around that Rudy could be traded instead of Donovan Mitchell, and that was the case. He goes to Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves, for that quote. So, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and not Anthony Edwards, but Patrick Beverly, Walker Kessler, and 4 first-round picks. Now, besides the 4 first-round picks, good for Minnesota. Now, yes, 4 first-rounders, but you keep Karl Anthony Towns, you keep Anthony Edwards, you keep D'Angelo Russell, and you add Rudy Gobert, who's still in his prime. Yes, he's not as big on the offensive end as Patrick Beverly was, but he's a much better upgrade on the defensive side for Minnesota. So mainly kept your three big guys for Minnesota. Yes, he had to give up 4 first-rounders, but I, from assessment, it looks like good trades for Minnesota. As far as Utah, you know, you keep your best player, Donovan Mitchell. You get a good but not as good defender, Patrick Beverly. You get some nice role guys, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. And you get 4 first-rounders. I'd say it was a win-win on both sides because Utah, they still have Mike Conley and Bogdanovich, so still got some very good players in Utah. So I'd say it was a win-win on both sides. Now, Jalen Brunson went and signed with the Knicks. The New York Knicks have, after compiling space for Brunson, now it seems to be a reality as the guy who, speaking of Utah, played very well for Dallas when Luka was hurt in the first round series, but Brunson did really well, kept Dallas afloat, along with great coaching by Jason Kidd. Dallas Mavericks were still afloat, and now he did regress a bit. He played great against Utah. Against Phoenix and Golden State, he kind of still did well, but not to the extent he did against Utah. So according to the Knicks' eyes, he did well enough to get a big contract with the team. So, yeah. The Knicks, of course, 2 seasons ago, they made the NBA playoffs, were a great story. Unfortunately, they did not get past the Atlanta Hawks' Trae Young. This season, with expectations, they had a chance to at least make the play-in, if not make the first round, but they didn't even make the play-in tournament. And, I like RJ Barrett's progression. Julius Randle, you know, he had a worldly regular season 2 seasons ago, but last season took a step back. So, I mean, we'll see. But currently, I feel better about the Knicks than I do about the Nets. I think that's pretty obvious. Celtics, so acquired Malcolm Brogdon in a trade from the Indiana Pacers. Brogdon, you know, had a very good role for the Milwaukee Bucks. Did very well to get a contract from the Utah Jazz. Did not play a full season and 3 seasons for the Pacers. Excuse me. Now he goes to the Celtics, where if he's healthy, I mean, he can definitely be a good provider for the Celtics, along with, of course, did have to give up Tice. So you give up some size, some defending, but still got Jalen Brown, still got Tatum, still got Robert Williams, Marcus Smart. You know, he can definitely add to that core. He can definitely add. So we'll see. The Chicago Bulls were very busy last offseason acquiring both DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball. This offseason, so far, they've been busy getting both Andre Drummond and, Goran Dragic. You know, two good role pieces for Drummond. You know, he was doing well, starting with the 76ers last season before being traded to the Brooklyn Nets. But Drummond, Dragic, I think can very much add to, you know, DeRozan, Vucevic, Levine got a big extension, Supermax, and Lonzo, provided he comes back healthy, you know, the direction, despite having a sour exit in the playoffs, things are trending up for the Chicago Bulls, so interesting to see. '76ers acquired PJ Tucker. PJ Tucker, I think he's a good defender. He's good. He he had a quality season with the Miami Heat, and he's a good physical player. You know, the question now with the 76ers, as Embiid, who is presumptive MVP before Jokic won, Harden is a free agent. I mean, I like Maxey, I like Tobias Harris, but it's a weird situation now in Philly. So we'll see on that. Speaking of Jokic, he got a big extension. Same with Booker. Saw some big extensions. The one extension that had me frazzled, had me shaking my head. Zion Williamson. You know, you look back at the 1, 2, and 3 of that draft. Zion, John Morant, RJ Barrett. I mean, John Morant has played exceptionally well. His first few seasons in the league won the most improved player award. You know, I was kind of surprised because last season he did well, not to the extent of this season, but he did well compared to Garland and Murray. I was a bit surprised, but he won it. And I mean, he did have a slow start versus the Timberwolves, but he came along in the first series. He hung tight versus the Warriors before getting hurt. But clearly, he's been the best out of the three. RJ Barrett's been well. He's not been as good as Ja, but he at least has been healthy pretty much throughout, as opposed to Zion. So it's weird so far. Zion, I mean, he did okay his rookie season. His second season, he did very well. Last season, you know, he had the foot injury, so to say, but missed the whole season. I mean, there is such a thing as prove it deals. I mean, I get it, you draft a guy number one, but it just had me shake my head. I'd say. But oh well. USC and UCLA are joining the Big Ten of college football. Now, we'll see more Chip Kelly. We'll see more Chip Kelly. UCLA, UCLA, you know, getting their new quarterback along with USC. They have things in common, obviously, new quarterbacks. USC, Lincoln Riley, culture change. But just another attraction that USC, UCLA are bringing to this offseason. I mean, we saw two big games last season of college football. We saw Michigan and Ohio State, in which Michigan ran down the Buckeyes. Michigan, it was cold, it was snowy, it was, as you expect, Big Ten football. And if that wasn't enough, Michigan State and Penn State had a very snowy game at the end of the season. And those two games are examples of why USC and UCLA are going to have an issue with the Big Ten. I mean, you look at all the teams now they got to go through in the Big Ten as opposed to Pac 12. I mean, for USC, you got Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota, who had a decent season last season. I mean, it's pretty much a two-team conference now in the Pac 12. A little bit of an issue. You got Oregon and Utah. And that's a pain because I loved Utah last season. And, I was excited. Now it could still happen. Utah versus USC, but unfortunate. Oregon, of course, still there as well. We'll see how Bo Nix adjusts from Auburn to Oregon, but we'll see. I mean, this is an issue in college football. If you're a great team, but in a not so good conference, you're not going to get a valid look from the committee and college football when it comes to the rankings and the playoffs. That's why Cincinnati's had such a tough road the last couple seasons. I mean, it basically felt like they were pressured to make Cincinnati a playoff team last season. And they didn't want to, but that's how it went. And I mean, Big Ten is a better conference than the Pac-12. I mean, I could have argued that Utah would have been they lost one game, or 2 games rather, but they could have very well made the playoffs, and I would have been upset with how well they did. But Big Ten, a better conference, the teams I just mentioned, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding for USC and UCLA because now they'll get more notoriety, they'll get more money, I imagine, because of Big Ten, but it's going to really be tough sledding against Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. It's just going to be brutal. But we'll see if they sink or they swim in the Big Ten. We'll see. Excuse me. UFC 276. A pretty good card Saturday night. Now, get to the main card first, but one of my favorites of all time on the prelims, decided to call it quits. And, we pretty much knew the last couple fights, he wasn't quite the same that he's been in previous years. And just kind of felt that it was time coming to an end. And it's unfortunate, but Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy has decided to ride off into the sunset and has called it a career after a submission loss to Jim Miller. Another longtime UFC veteran. Now, Cowboy, like I mentioned, is one of my all-time favorites. He was a character through and through. Uh, in the ring, outside the ring, you know, was stellar at two weight classes, both lightweight and welterweight. You know, one of my favorite exchanges ever was him versus Melvin Gillard. I mean, it was quick, but it was great. When Cowboy looked like he was hurt, and then all of a sudden, head kick knocked Gillard loopy, and with a big straight right, knocks out Gillard, and it was just whoa, whoa. There's that. There, he got that big win streak at 155. I mean, it looked like he fought Dos Anjos for the title, but couldn't quite get that strap. You know, just so many highlights. I mean, from the head kicks to submissions, and then going to welterweight, have that run he did before ultimately getting stopped by Jorge Masvidal. I mean, that fight for Spat Brown was very good, very good. I mean, he was a gatekeeper for a while. He was unfortunate, but that what he was, a gatekeeper. Did reach the top, but was always good enough to stay afloat. Just unfortunate, but great career. You know, for the Cowboy. Glad he got that payday versus Conor McGregor because he deserved it. He deserved the payday, and he got one versus Conor. Also, that Cowboy versus Cowboy matchup versus him, and that was very good. Very good. Now off to the main card. So, some interesting fights, I would say. So, Robbie Lawler versus Brian Barberena. Robbie, of course, as tough as they come, longtime veteran against Brian Barberena, who has had some interesting finishes inside the octagon. Have seen a few times. Was curious to see how this would fare, but ultimately Barbarella outstruck Robbie in the slugfest. Second round, Brian won it, and you know, excuse me, big win for Brian over a name like Robbie. Robbie, he hasn't quite been the same. Also, the last couple fights, so he's still done his part, but curious to see where Robbie goes from here. Brian, hope he gets a ranked guy. I'm not sure if Robbie was ranked, but a top 10 guy I would like to see for Spar Arena. We have a new star in the UFC middleweight division. Alex Pereira knocked out number 4 ranked Sean Strickland. Sean, has done very well for himself. We know he was supposed to fight Luke Rockhold a few times, but that never materialized. Now there's talks of Rockhold versus Paul Costa. See how that goes, but Strickland made noise at the press conference, and now, unfortunately, he was humbled as Pereira knocked him out ice cold in the first round with a big left hook. And thankfully, Sean's okay, but, Brazilian power, how it goes for Pereira, and it seems like him and Adesanya are on a collision course. Max Holloway versus Alexander Volkanovski 3. I have not seen Max Holloway look in that bad of shape really ever. Ever. I mean, now, the first 2 fights were close. People are still arguing, and I understand that Max Holloway won the first 2 fights. But the judges saw it Volkanovski's way. This was as one-sided as you could get, I would say. Holy cow. Volkanovski roughed up the face of Max Holloway. Max had a huge gash on his eyebrow. I mean, if I said it before, I'll say it again. People now need to start considering Volkanovski as the GOAT at 145 pounds. I mean, he beat Aldo. He beat Chad Mendes. I mean, he beat Brian Ortega. He beat Korean Zombie. He beat Max not once, not twice, 3 times. I mean, he should get a shot at the vacant 155-pound title, whether it's against Oliveira, whether against Poirier or someone, Gaethje. I mean, he deserves a shot at the vacant title, become a dual champion. He deserves a chance. He deserves it. So, happy for Volkanovski. You know, Max, it's unfortunate. Where does he go from here? You know, he's lost to the champion 3 times. I mean, it's unfortunate, but, you know, he tried the interim lightweight title fight against Poirier, but that didn't come to fruition. But we'll see. We'll see. Max is so one of the best in the world. We'll see. Then we get to the main event. The main event. Israel Adesanya versus Jared Kill Gorilla Cannonier. Now, before I get into the fight, if you're a fan of pro wrestling and oh man, that might have been the best entrance I've seen a MMA fighter ever do. I mean, so the higher ups of, or at least most of them, the most higher ups of AEW and WWE were both there, both in attendance. Tony Khan Jr., who coincidentally was arguably WWE's best commentator ever. Mr. McMahon, Stephanie, Triple H, and Pat McAfee, which is funny, but yeah, part of WWE. We're all there, so it made it more funny because The Undertaker is Mr. McMahon's greatest invention, greatest character, and Israel Adesanya did a Undertaker inspired entrance with the big black cat had an urn with Jared Canadier's name on it. I mean, just picture perfect. I mean, yeah. Now, the fight was, from the highlights and what I saw of the fight, it wasn't as bad as what some people were portrayed. Because I saw many of the comments online saying people thought the fight was boring. I didn't think it was that bad, but was not, did not go up to standards, I will say. You know, Asanya is, or actually, Jared Cannonier, we know, can finish the fight with one blow. That's his nickname. Asanya, we know, has great power as well, knocking out Whitaker, knocking out Paul Costa. I mean, Asanya knows how to get the job done. Asanya led some strikes, led some. Looked like Jared just felt out of place in the championship rounds. It just felt like that. I don't know, it just felt off in the championship rounds. Just felt off. So, not sure what to say. But Asanya gets the win. Called out Pereira, got the victory earlier. I mean, that would be a very intriguing fight. You know, Pereira, he's only 6-1, but you know, if you're gonna knock out a top 5 contender in Strickland, you gotta be something. And Pereira is definitely something. So it'd be intriguing, and you know, people who were disappointed with this fight, I don't think are gonna be disappointed with this next fight. So interesting there. But overall, a good night of fights. I mean, yes, people were disappointed by the main event, but overall, I don't think people were very disappointed with the card, I will say. And last but not least, before we get out of here, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant requested a trade out of the Brooklyn Nets the other day, and I'm not surprised. I mean, how can you? Last year, they had the Kyrie and Ben Simmons situation. Ben Simmons didn't play. I mean, the only good thing from that trade was Seth Curry. He did well, but the main parts of the trade were Ben Simmons and James Harden. For all the harp I gave on James Harden in the playoffs, I think if he was still there, the team would have gone farther in the East, I would say. I mean, they would not have been. They would have been in the play-in tournament if Harden was there. I don't think so. Kyrie, now he at least admitted that he let the team down. I respect him for that, but still, it's unfortunate. Let he was barely there. Was barely there. So people want to harp on KD because he went to a great, and it's unfortunate. He went to a great situation in Golden State, got his rings, left, and it's a bad situation. You can't harp on KD for wanting to get out of a bad situation in Brooklyn. Now, I get they were one of my favorites a couple seasons ago, and then same with last season, but a bad situation is not good for anybody. So it's how it goes. I'm not surprised, Miami, Phoenix, arguably the two best teams in the league. So he would put him over the top, I would think. But we'll see. But nonetheless, thank you for joining me. That's all for the podcast today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, click the like, leave a thumbs up. But thank you all. Be safe. I'll be back next week. Hopefully, because I was sick on Saturday coming home from work. Hopefully, I sounded okay today on the podcast. But nonetheless, see you all next week. I am Angel to Love. Get out of here. Peace.